Okay, so I literally realized I started making the pollo guisado without like showing you guys what I was doing. All right, so I cut up the boiled chicken that I showed earlier. I only boiled it till like almost done. Cut it into thirds, the chicken breast. Cut it into thirds, it's boneless. And then I added 1 tablespoon of sofrito, which I had already done before. You can buy it at the store. It's a Spanish vegetables and like to season your food. So I used 1 packet of sazon. I used the no salt kind just because try to reduce, the salt. Oregano, adobo, again, light, it has pepper in it. I did put a little bit of meat tenderizer, not a lot, just a little sprinkle, because it's gonna go in there and I just want it to not be, rubbery, but you don't have to put that. And garlic powder. And I'm going to, I already added, so I added, I added the sofrito that's already melting because I had it in a cube. These are 2 chicken bone broth cubes that I also had. And what else did I not? I put the sofrito. Oh, I also added some Italian seasoning, some cumin, a little bit of cumin, and some tomato bouillon with chicken flavor. This is good because I didn't have any tomato sauce, so I'm using that instead, and it has a chicken flavor to enhance the chicken broth. And I'm gonna put some tomato paste, like a tablespoon, to a 1.5 cups of water, 1.5 to 2 cups of water. And now that's gonna go with on low for about the next 4 hours or so till it gets nice and juicy. And I'm also adding potatoes. They go on the top. And I'm going to make white rice to go with this. And if you have bay leaves, they're really, really good to put a couple in there as well. It just gives it that extra layer of flavor. And I'll show you how it looks like when it's done. Again, we're gonna put this in here for about 4 hours on low because the chicken's already almost cooked. We just need to cook the potatoes and just get all the flavors together. This is a dish that simmers low and slow. It's a stew, remember, so time equals goodness and tender meat. So I'll show you, and maybe, I'm not sure if I'm going to show you the rice cooker, but I think I might. I'll show you what I do with to do my white rice in the rice cooker. And the reason why I like to use the slow cooker in cooking during the summer especially is it gets so hot and nobody wants to slave over a hot stove, and it's difficult for me to stir and do repeated motions over and over because, again, I'm chronically ill. I've mentioned it, we've talked about it, and these are how I adapt traditional recipes. I love to cook, but sometimes it just is a lot for me physically. So what I do is now I adapted a lot of my recipes, or I look online to see how I can adapt recipes in my slow cooker and make my life easier, but still feed my family and still feel like I've done something. Again, adapting and trying to find a way around being chronically ill. I call it, chronically positive and chronically looking for a solution. All right, so I'll get back to you. We'll see. I don't know where I'm going to go with this after this, but we're going to continue to vlog today. Okay, so here is the rice cooker portion. I wasn't sure if I was going to put it because I have a video, but I've kind of updated it a little bit. So this is how I use my rice cooker to make the best, fluffiest white rice. Effortless. You don't have to be at the stove. You don't have to worry. Just hit a button, keep it moving. The one I have is, this is not sponsored. I didn't even, I think I got it at a Salvation Army. It's an aroma one. I've had it for literally over 5 years. I love it. It works great. So this is how I do it. me show you. Okay. So this is the cup that comes with the rice cooker. Now you're gonna use, I'm gonna do 2 cups because my hubby and my older son and probably come over for dinner today, and my youngest, who is a growing 14-year-old very tall child, they get really hungry. So we're doing, I might even do 2.5 cups, just, yeah, let's do 2.5 just in case. I'm doing pollo guisado, it comes out really good. So about half, 2.5. All right, now in my previous video that I have posted on my YouTube video that everybody, you know, likes to comment about, you know, the washing of the rice. Now that is where I have definitely changed my ways. I definitely wash my rice all the time. I don't know why, it just makes it better. Also, I like to make sure that the water runs clear. Some people say, well, you're taking out the starch. That's your preference, you do you, but I like to make sure that there's no little rocks. And for some reason, at least in the slow cooker, in the slow cooker, sorry, I meant to say rice cooker, it comes out fluffier. That's just been my experience after you wash it. So I rinse it about 3 times. And that's just, it's like a cold water rinse. I'm doing it in the rice cooker container. And I have a strainer here so that, you know, so you're moving it around, getting all the little pebbles out if there's any. Getting all the dirt and stuff. Because remember, this stuff is, you know, transported and handled, and just gotta make sure you get the stuff out. All right, so do that. Do it again. Think about, for me today 2 is good. You can do it 2-3 times. However, you know, I like to see how cloudy the water was, but this rice was pretty good. Now the rice that I am using, I believe it is a medium grain. Let me go check because that's important. Let's see. It is extra fancy. Let's see, it was whatever was extra on sale. No, sorry. So extra fancy long grain rice. That's what I'm using. But you can cook whatever you want. But I do use a long grain rice a lot. So when you use the long grain rice, I don't honestly, I mean, I cook the rice the same kind of. I mean, I've had different ones, but since I get the long grain rice, that's kind of what I use, and that's how I know the measurements that I use for this one. Now, what I found was when you use too much, if you use the exact amount of water in here so it normally says, so 2 cups of water for the rice cooker, 2 cups of water, and then you line it up to the 2 line because you use 2 cups. But when I do that and it's right at the line or too much, it comes out watery or mushy. And I don't like that. They like fluffier grains. So what I do is I put a little bit of olive oil, like a twirl, and I do a combo. You're gonna think this is a little bit weird, but I like ghee butter. And I like a little bit of a butter taste in my rice. That's just me. I think it just tastes a little bit better. I like the ghee butter flavor. And so I drizzle a little bit in there. Just, again, you don't need a lot. Just a little bit for the flavor. And then what I do is I add, again, I eyeball a lot, so sprinkling some kosher salt. And my family doesn't like it too salty, so we don't do salt. Mix it around so that everything is getting mixed together, the salt. Because you're not going to open this, remember. So, and we're not cooking it on a stove, we're cooking it in a rice cooker. And you want everything to have the same flavor, so you have to mix it around. So I do that. And then I come in here and I put water until it's almost to the 2 line. See, the line for 2 is right there. Almost. Well, and this is 2.5 cups, so we might actually want to be at the 2 line. Because I forgot we did do 2.5 cups. So since we did 2.5 cups, we're good at the 2 line. But you don't want to go any further than that. So you always want to go a little bit less if you want, how do you say, fluffier, like a little bit grainier rice or fluffier rice, and not mushy rice. That's just been what I found with this particular rice cooker. I followed the directions for years and my rice would come out a little mushy or whatever. But for what I found, the way I like, my family likes the rice, just do it a little bit less than what the actual cuppage that you put in there. So since we have 2.5 cups, we're only going to use 2 cups of water in here. Mix, giving it a last whirl. Mix it around. And then put that right there. And hit the button for white rice, and voila. Now I make sure, because there's a vent here, I try to make sure that it doesn't touch the seasonings, because then they make it all like cakey. So I put the vent that way, and look at that. Summertime, don't have to work over a hot stove. All we had to do was hit a, throw all of our ingredients in the slow cooker for our stewed chicken or pollo guisado, and hit a button there. It does it all the work. And then white rice, boom, hit the button. Again, not hot, not worried about the stove being sweating and all of that. And like I said, it's difficult for me to stir. I love to cook, but because of my chronic illness, sometimes things are just really hard for me to do. So I've had to adapt. And this is how I've learned to adapt, which is, okay, my family still likes white rice. How can I get it just as good as if it was on the stove? And I figured it out. Use the rice cooker. Comes out great. Hit the button. Boom, boom, done. And then also it's less dishes I have to wash. Less stress. If I get tired and I want to take a nap because I'm so exhausted, I don't have to worry about burning something on the stove because I have it in the slow cooker and I have it in the rice cooker. The rice cooker literally keeps it warm for me and actually tastes better sometimes when you leave it a little bit over, because you get like a nice little, it's called pegado. It's a crust, like a little crusty rice, and then the moist, it's really good. You just got to be careful with your teeth. And so it keeps it warm for me. And then the slow cooker as well. When it's done, it turns off but keeps it warm. So I'm not burning things if I get tired from, the fatigue, the chronic fatigue and the fibro and all that. So that's how I make my pollo guisado and my white rice without using the stove. The only thing I did use the stove for was to boil the chicken because it was frozen. So I boiled the chicken for about half an hour to 45 minutes. It was boneless chicken. And also I already made iced tea, sweet tea earlier, which is in my refrigerator. And I found that I had some mango peach tea and I thought, why not green tea? So I'm going to try and do the same method like I did the other tea and see how this one tastes. I bet you it's going to be just as refreshing. And hopefully when everything is done, I can show you the final product.